Hello, so I'm just here going for a walk in Thailand around the reservoir. Look at the colour of it today actually. It's fucking like crazy light blue. Anyway, yeah, so I haven't done a video since I'd done that one with Donovan and Nikki, and we hope to do another one. We're actually thinking of doing a live one, but I've been a bit quiet because I spent a week in Bali, and it was the last day I was leaving there, I just got this overwhelming exhaustion, the likes I haven't had for years. And I actually shared a snippet online, someone talking about the Schuman resonance, and I don't usually buy into a lot of that, although there's definitely something to it, but I mean like buying into it as far as like someone that anytime they're having any type of energy lapse or spike or not feeling well or whatever, that they'll pinpoint it to the Schuman resonance. So I don't believe that, but yeah, it was interesting. This lady was talking about like hips and
Guys, there's something going on with the Schuman. I am sick right now. I don't know if you can tell, but there's something crazy going on, and I could not say something about it. So below, as you can see, if you've been following me for a while, or if you follow other people who read the Schuman, this is not normal. This is not normal. And something is definitely happening. I checked the Italy graph as well, because this is out of Tomsk, Russia. I checked the Italy one as well, and that one is also going off the charts. So there is something going on. And it is so strange because I was laying down and I felt like I was getting dizzy. And this happened a few nights ago, and I checked the Schuman and something was happening. So I automatically checked it. And also you could see at the bottom of the graph that there is a lot of bright, intense energy there, and it's very consistent in that small little part. And that is really known as, for me intuitively, root chakra clearing craziness. So if you feel super ungrounded right now, this is why. She said down the bottom of the resonance, she intuitively, I don't even know if this is how you read it, but she would claim that to be like the root chakra. And like my tailbone's my coccyx been killing me. Anyway, so I basically spent about 5 days in absolute like exhaustion, and not sick in any way, just extremely tired. And I probably only just came out of it today. I've still been training, and only doing like 1 or 2 a day at the moment, because I just don't have the energy. But yeah, I even like fell asleep on the way to the airport in Bali when I was flying to get the plane to Thailand. I'd never do that, and I fell asleep on the plane. I never fall asleep on planes either, ever. But yeah, it just didn't lapse until, and like the feeling was, I don't want to go on about this too much, but like the feeling was like I just wasn't in my body. It was like the way I describe it is like I was like reaching out for my soul, and my soul wouldn't grab my hand. So it was like there was like this separation between my body and my mind. If you feel super ungrounded right now, this is why. And I am feeling it in my legs. I am literally like, they are shaking, and I'm standing right now. But at the same time, I feel the energy in my hip. And my mind was just out in the clouds, and I couldn't speak properly, still kind of can't. It was like my neurology was all fucked up. And mum's kind of going, oh, it's a coffee day, it's a coffee. But I spoke to so many other people, including people in different continents, that had similar thing around the same time. It even peaked where I went into this ice bath in Bali. I know people go, oh, it's because of the ice bath, but I do them all the time. And I felt like had this moment of panic when I was in there, that I thought I was going to pass out and faint in the ice bath, and I was going to drown in there because there's no. And that's how I felt. I was so weak. My body was so weak, and but in saying that too, my body's been good like the last 4 or 5 days. It's just been like spacey, and I've gone to like pay for things twice, like a few times now. I've paid at the start and then gone back to pay them. So I've just been like off with the fairy. So it's been wanting to do videos and stuff, but I just haven't been in the right mindset. But I do want to say, I've got a couple of things. Well, we've got the Sky Earth conference coming up. We're starting on August 7th, so I think it's in about 3 weeks to a month. And I'll pin the video under here if people want to. SDE Academy presents Sky Earth Conference 5, commencing August 7th.
a 9-week private conference for those intent on reclaiming independent thought and deepening their ability to think critically beyond consensus, guided by the practice of synthesizing dialogue.
Synthesizing dialogue is a guiding principle underpinning the Sky to Earth Academy conference. It is a practice of inquiry that weaves together diverse and at times contradictory perspectives, experiences, and worldviews through conversation, storytelling, and collective exploration. Not to reach consensus, but to expand perception, strengthen discernment, and refine individual clarity. Each week of the conference, respected researchers and thought leaders from around the world share perspectives to challenge, inform, and expand perception, while participants have the opportunity to engage directly, posing questions, testing ideas, and exploring their own inquiries with those who have dedicated years to developing their understanding. In an age engineered to distract, divide, and obfuscate, this space offers a dedicated interval to study, question, and think in good company. Conversing with others on the same path, debriefing ideas together, and cultivating a shared commitment to truth through synthesizing dialogue.
I love doing this, and like me and Madeline put a lot of work into organising this, and it's just going to be, I'll wait for these cars to pass. And yeah, we're both just kind of been craving to get back into these conversations, and yeah, it's going to be good. We'll speak more about that. We'll probably do a podcast before it, having a chat about it, and yeah, well, actually, I got David Oates on this time. That's what, the reverse speech guy. He's going to be fucking cool. So I was sharing a few of his clips, and
a spiritual or occultic phenomenon. It's not demons, it's not angels, it's not ETs. I mean, I've heard all of them over the years. It simply is a natural form of language. Just as body language expresses our feelings and who we really are, well, reverse speech does that too. It enables us to see who we are on the deep.
He was talking about all the parts of like speech, like how you intuitively know if someone's telling the truth. Like when your intuition kicks in and you're not believing what someone's saying, it's not the words that are coming out of the mouth, it's actually like the sequences and the pauses and the ums and the ahs and the tone and all these different things. Obviously what language experts and body language experts would like talk about too, but he's saying you could say the exact same thing and say it again, but you would get two different reversals.
Up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was like something just clicked, and then I thought, this is another form of communication. It has to be. And I coined the phrase reverse speech and wrote the very first draft of my theory. It basically states that the process of spoken communication is twofold. As all of us are communicating with each other, we are constructing the sounds of our speech in such a way that we are delivering two messages simultaneously. One is coming forwards from the conscious mind, which is how I'm speaking to you now, and the other one is coming in reverse from the unconscious mind. Well, many of you have had experiences where you have been speaking to people and you, within the first 3 or 4 sentences, you get a gut feeling that there's something more than what this guy's telling you. Like he's either telling you the truth or he's telling you a lie, or there's something extra. A lot of us call that intuition. It is my contention that the existence of the reverse speech process explains many aspects of human intuition. I've conducted numerous independent blind scientific tests to independently verify the phenomena. What we've noticed about reverse speech is that speech reversals will frequently occur in the pauses and mispronunciations of speech, the ers and the ahs, the rapid tonal inflections. If you ever sit down and listen to someone talking for even 2 or 3 minutes, just intently listen to them, and you'll notice that their speech is full of inconsistencies. I mean, I've rarely come across anyone who can talk in a very monotone voice for a long period of time without slipping up. And it is the tonal inflections in our speech that create speech reversals. One of the things that we've discovered about reverse speech is that we believe reverse speech to be a right brain hemispheric function. It's been thought by many that the right brain hemisphere is dormant in active verbal communication. Many linguists will tell you that the dialogue formation of speech comes from the left brain hemisphere. The tonal inflection we put into speech comes from the right brain hemisphere. One of the common things about reverse speech is that as right brain hemispheric activity increases, so does the occurrence of speech reversals. In a monologue speech situation like I'm talking right now, where I have said these lines in front of audiences hundreds of times before, they're almost memory off pat, you would find reversals about once every 60 seconds because it's a pre-prepared script already running in my brain. And we get into normal natural conversation, the occurrence of reversals will increase to once every 10 or 15 seconds. In a heated argument between a husband and wife or friends, as right brain hemisphere is really clicking in, then speech reversal will occur once every 2 or 3 seconds. What is actually happening is that as we are creating the sounds of our speech, we are creating them so that two parts of our minds are communicating well actually there's multiple parts, so let's just stick with 2 parts. But we are communicating from at least 2 different areas, forwards consciously and in reverse unconsciously.
So it would come through different in reverse, and the reverse language is coming through the right hemisphere of the brain. He talks about how babies can actually speak in reverse before they can speak forward, and there's heaps of examples of this. I can actually show a couple. Hang on, got fucking motorbikes there. Yeah, so he's coming on, and I mean he's been the pioneer he pioneered reverse speech. He even coined the term. He's been around for a long time and he's an Aussie, so, but yeah, we've got plenty. I'll leave the Pro Miner here, and yeah, I'm sweating balls. Anyway, yes, I caught up with Ole Demigard in Bali, and I'll just say, like, what a fucking beautiful man. And like talking about intuition and stuff, like meeting him the first time, it was like meeting another brother. Do you know what I mean? Like, not in, you know, people overuse that term, or you know what I mean. It can sound a bit mushy, but it's honestly what it felt like. The guy's just got such a light and comforting energy, and he's someone who's faced like extreme adversary in his life and extreme danger, and he's just continued to march forward, and I admire that greatly in him, and I can see why he's remained safe, and it's because of the way his belief system and the way that he lives his life, and he lives it without fear. So, or at least he faces his fear. He does what he knows to be right, even if he's in fear.
It's like now I'm a coach. I'm not a coach at all, but I'm coaching people, and I'm coaching people on a very high level. Why are they looking for me to be coached? But it's because I come from I've lived it instead of just studied it or read it. So I've been blessed with this very rocky, smashing, colorful life to get me to this point. And so what is driving me is it's my path. It's and this is the thing. People say, but when he got murdered, or when you got shot, or when you got almost driven or hit by cars and stuff like that, didn't it scare you up? No, not scared up. I got scared. That's true. I got very scared at times, but the never ever has it entered into my mind that I should stop. It has entered into my mind. I need to be careful and more streetwise and learn to do this dance, you know, so I don't end up being from 6 foot there and smelling the roses from below. So otherwise than that, I don't know.
Yeah,
I listen to this one, it guides me. And if it says one day it's time to quit, I say, okay, fine. I'll be happy to quit. I'm tired. So, but up until now, no.
yeah. I find that very interesting. And like David Icke said something similar about people say, why can't you be killed? And regardless of what people think of David Icke, and that his answer was beautiful. And he said, if they can't energetically do it, they can't physically do it. And he said, if you get to a point of balance and doing it out of love, and they know that you're not going to take a step back, you're on a different vibrational frequency, and there can't be an energetic match. So I think there's a lot to that. I think you're a good example of that.
Okay. I have no idea. I'm just grateful to still be here. So
yeah, and I've always admired people that have great kind of tenacity and great workmanship too. But yeah, Ole, he was just he was such a lovely guy, and spending time. Yeah, I mean, because he's a former Skydive conference guest. He's one of our favourites. He's actually not coming on this one, but we'll have to get him on the podcast. But yeah,
thank you so
much for your work.
Thank you, folks. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ole. Thank you.
What I wanted to say too, I fucking, because I haven't been doing much, just been listening to this audio book. I finished Manuel Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision. Fuck me. I've started going back to, particularly over all the chapters on Venus. There's so much in there that I'm going to put into a video, but I mean, people go read Velikovsky themselves too, and like, I know Jason speaks about it a lot, but it's given me, I guess, a better understanding of this whole war on the stars and what people call the spiritual war. Because when you hear spiritual war, you seem like it's like an unseen war too. But there's definitely an element of this term spiritual war. And spiritual war, actually, the latest modernization inception of it actually came from the Q post, funny enough. That's how it became popularized, was the Q post, a reference to a spiritual war. And but the spiritual war as well is in the sky. It's actually the physical spiritual war that we can see with the stars. And then this brings in a whole into question as to what are the stars. And I think they're us. I wouldn't even say I think, I know they're us.
Dad? We're pals, right?
Right.
And we'll always be together, right?
Simba, let me tell you something that my father told me. Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars.
Really?
Yes. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you. And so will I.
And this actually goes into George Kavasilis' philosophy of universal compression, that you exist on every level. And saying you exist on every layer and every level and dimension doesn't just mean like within the unseen, it actually means within the physical realm. So I am Dale, but I also exist in every other element on the planet as part of the planet, and then I'm actually a fractal of the planet itself, so I'm actually part of Earth, even though I'm not the full fractal. But then I am a full fractal myself of a star, which is me, and everyone has their own star. But anyway, he goes into like Venus, how Venus was birthed out of Jupiter, goes through like all these different ancient societies in China, Yucatan in Mexico, North American tribes, Australian Aboriginals, ancient Greece, Sumeria, all of them, right? They're all the same story. But then there's changeover of the stories and the interpretations and which planets they actually mean. And but like I'm really interested, especially we've got Clinton coming on Sky Earth.
And you mob are forgetting that part of history. And we have the oldest of the Old Testament. Because it's written here in Murujuga, all the laws. You know, they reckon he went up, Moses went up to Mount Sinai and he got the tablets with all the commands and everything. Well, we already got that here in Murujuga. It's all there written on the stone. Major, massive change, and it was called the Great Flood. And Ngarluma means people of the flooded land. Because a lot of people tend to think oral history is inferior compared to what's the written word. But see, the written word can't even tell you what happened before 10,000 years ago. Whereas I can tell you straight out. That's through my songlines. That's through what's written in Murujuga there on the stones. But before 10,000 years, we had a different name. And I can tell you that. I know who my mom was back then. That's during the Ice Age and beyond. You know? I can name it. We're called Yagoriji. And the reason is because we sing it. We sing it in our songline. And there are things that our songlines capture from the old times, you know?
To talk about Venus, and Madeline, just as I was talking to her about all this stuff and sharing online about Venus, she's like blowing her fucking mind because she's actually teaching this in part of her astrology course, like just doing it at the same time. And she was pointing out a point that Clint showed her that is like the Venus part on the ground that Clint showed her, which is within the rocks. And Venus, if people don't know, is tied to the cataclysm, and Venus wasn't always there. And Velikovsky talks about the four planets at the start being Earth, Mercury, Earth, Jupiter. What am I saying? Mercury, Mars, Earth, Jupiter being the four.
After the disappearance of this serpent-shaped heavenly body, the sun refused to shine, and during 4 days, the world was deprived of its light. A great many people died at that time. Thereafter, the snake-like body transformed itself into a great star. The star retained the name of Quetzalcoatl. This great and brilliant star appeared for the first time in the east. Quetzalcoatl is the well-known name of the planet Venus. The sequence of seasons and the duration of days and nights became disarranged. It was then that the people of Mexico regulated anew the reckoning of days, nights, and hours according to the difference in time. It is a remarkable thing, moreover, that time is measured from the moment of its, morning star's, appearance. Tlahuizcalpanticutli, or the morning star, appeared for the first time following the convulsions of the earth overwhelmed by a deluge. It looked like a monstrous serpent. That the world conflagration associated with Phaethon was caused by a shifting of bodies in the sky which move around the Earth. As we have reason to assume that it was the comet Venus that, after 2 contacts with the Earth, eventually became a planet, we shall do well to inquire, did Phaethon turn into the morning star? Phaethon, which means the blazing star, became the morning star. The earliest writer who refers to the transformation of Phaethon into a planet is Hesiod. This transformation is related by Hyginus in his Astronomy, where he tells how Phaethon, that caused the conflagration of the world, was struck by a thunderbolt of Jupiter and was placed by the sun among the stars, planets. It was the general belief that Phaethon changed into the morning star. That the planet Venus was born in the first half of the 2nd millennium, I assume also that in the 3rd millennium only 4 planets could have been seen, and that in astronomical charts of this early period, the planet Venus cannot be found. In an ancient Hindu table of planets, attributed to the year minus 3102, Venus alone among the visible planets is absent. The Brahmins of the early period did not know the 5-planet system, and only in a later, middle period did the Brahmins speak of 5 planets. Babylonian astronomy too had a 4-planet system. In ancient prayers, the planets Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Mercury are invoked. The planet Venus is missing, and one speaks of the 4-planet system of the ancient astronomers of Babylonia. These 4-planet systems, and the inability of the ancient Hindus and Babylonians to see Venus in the sky, even though it is more conspicuous than the other planets, are puzzling, unless Venus was not among the planets. On a later date, the planet Venus receives the appellative, the great star that joins the great stars. The great stars are, of course, the 4 planets Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and Venus joins them as the 5th planet. The Egyptians similarly pictured the planet and worshipped it in the effigy of a bull. The cult of a bull sprang up also in Mycenaean Greece. A golden cow head with a star on its brow was found in Mycenae on the Greek mainland. The people of faraway Samoa, primitive tribes that depend on oral tradition as they have no art of writing, repeat to this day, the planet Venus became wild and horns grew out of her head. Examples and references could be multiplied ad libitum. The astronomical texts of the Babylonians describe the horns of the planet Venus. Sometimes one of the two horns became more prominent. Because the astronomical works of antiquity have so much to say about the horns of Venus, modern scholars have asked themselves whether the Babylonians could have seen the phases of Venus, which cannot now be distinguished with the naked eye. Galileo saw them for the first time in modern history when he used his telescope. The long horns of Venus could have been seen without the aid of a telescopic lens. The horns were the illuminated portions of the coma of Venus, which stretched toward the Earth. These horns could also have extended toward the Sun as Venus approached the solar orb, since comets were repeatedly observed with projections in the direction of the Sun, while the tails of the comets are regularly directed away from the Sun. When Venus approached close to one of the planets, its horns grew longer. This is the phenomenon the astrologers of Babylon observed and described when Venus neared Mars. If we look for the god or goddess who represents the planet Venus, we must inquire which among the gods or goddesses did not exist from the beginning, but was born into the family. The mythologies of all peoples concern themselves with the birth only of Venus, not with that of Jupiter, Mars, or Saturn. Jupiter is described as heir to Saturn, but his birth is not a mythological subject. Horus of the Egyptians and Vishnu, born of Shiva of the Hindus, were such newborn deities. Horus battled in the sky with the monster serpent Seth. So did Vishnu. In Greece, the goddess who suddenly appeared in the sky was Pallas Athene. She sprang from the head of Zeus Jupiter. In another legend, she was the daughter of a monster, Pallas Typhon, who attacked her and whom she battled and killed. The slaying of the monster by a planet god is the way in which the peoples perceived the convulsion of the pillar of smoke when the Earth and the comet Venus disturbed each other in their orbits, and the head of the comet and its tail leaped against each other in violent electrical discharges. The birth of the planet Athene is sung in the Homeric hymn dedicated to her, the glorious goddess Virgin Tritogeneia. When she was born, the vault of the sky, the great Olympus, began to reel horribly. Earth round about cried fearfully. The sea was moved and tossed with dark waves, while foam burst forth suddenly, and the sun stopped for a long while. The Greek text speaks of purple waves and of the sea that rises up like a wall, and the sun stopping in its course. Athene was pictured with horns. Athena, daughter of Zeus, upon her head she set the helmet with two horns, said Homer. Pallas Athene is identified with Astarte, Ishtar, or the planet Venus of the Babylonians. Anaitis of the Iranians, too, is identified as Pallas Athene and as the planet Venus. Plutarch identified Minerva of the Romans, or Athene of the Greeks, with Isis of the Egyptians, and Pliny identified the planet Venus with Isis. Athene, in whose honor the city of Athens was named, was the planet Venus. Next to Zeus, she was the most honored deity of the Greeks. The name Athene in Greek, according to Manetho, is indication of self-originated movement. He wrote of the name Athene as meaning, I came from myself. Cicero, speaking of Venus, explained the origin of the name thus. Venus was so named by our countrymen as the goddess who comes, venire, to all things. The name Vishnu signifies pervader, from the Sanskrit vish, to enter or pervade. The birth of Athene was assigned to the middle of the second millennium. Augustine wrote, Minerva, Athene, is reported to have appeared in the times of Ogyges. This statement is found in The City of God, the book containing the quotation from Varro that the planet Venus changed its course and form in the time of Ogyges. Augustine also synchronized Joshua with the time of Minerva's activities. The cover of carbonaceous clouds in which the Earth was enveloped by the comet is the robe ambrosial wrought by Athene for Hera, Earth. The source of ambrosia was closely connected with Athene. The origin of Athene as a comet is implied in her epithet Pallas, which, as is commonly known, is synonymous with Typhon. Typhon, as Pliny said, was a comet. The birth of Pallas Athene, or her first visit to Earth, was the cause of a cosmic disturbance, and the memory of that catastrophe was a day of wrath in all the calendars of ancient Chaldea. Zeus and Athene. If there was a problem in this research which caused prolonged deliberation on the part of the author, it was the question, was it the planet Jupiter or Venus that caused the catastrophe of the time of Exodus? Some ancient mythological sources point to Venus, other sources point to Jupiter. In one group of legends, Jupiter, Zeus, is the protagonist of the drama. He leaves his place in the sky, rushes to battle Typhon, and strikes him with thunderbolts. But other legends, and historical sources too, which I have quoted on earlier, indicate that it was the planet Venus, or Pallas Athene of the Greeks. Athene killed her father, Typhon Pallas, the celestial monster, and the description of this battle is not different from that of the battle in which Zeus killed Typhon. Under the weight of many arguments, I came to the conclusion, about which I no longer have any doubt, that it was the planet Venus, at the time still a comet, that caused the catastrophe of the days of Exodus. Then, why do a part of the legends tie up this event with Jupiter? The cause of this duality in the mythological handling of an historical event lies in the fact that the ancients themselves did not know for certain which of the planets had caused the destruction. Some saw the pillar of cloud, Typhon defeated by Jupiter, the ball of fire that emerged from the pillar and battled with it. Others interpreted the globe as a body different from Jupiter. The Greek authors described the birth of Athene, planet Venus, saying she sprang from the head of Jupiter. Worship of the morning star. Now that it has been shown it was Venus which, at an interval of 52 years, caused two cosmic catastrophes in the 15th century before the present era, we understand also the different historical connections between Venus and these catastrophes. In numerous biblical and rabbinical passages, it is said that when the Israelites went from Mount Sinai into the desert, they were covered by clouds. These clouds were illuminated by the pillar of fire, so that they gave a pale light. Not long ago, in Polynesia, human sacrifices were offered to the morning star, Venus. To the Arabian morning star, queen of the heaven, Al-Uzza, boys and girls were sacrificed down to modern times. Likewise, human sacrifices were brought to the morning star in Mexico. This was described by early Spanish authors and was still practiced by Indians only a generation ago. Quetzalcoatl was called the god of winds and of flames of fire. The Greek Athene, too, was not only the planet, but also the goddess of storm and fire. The planet Venus was Lux Divina, the divine light, in the worship of the Roman imperial colonies. Attributes and deeds of the morning star were not invented by the peoples of the world. This star shattered mountains, shook the globe with such a violence that it looked as if the heavens were shaking, was a storm, a cloud, a fire, a heavenly dragon, a torch, and a blazing star, and it rained naphtha on the earth. Assurbanipal speaks of Ishtar Venus, who is clothed with fire and bears aloft a crown of awful splendor, and who rained fire over Arabia. It has been shown previously that the comet of the days of the Exodus rained naphtha over Arabia. In the attributes and in the deeds ascribed to the planet Venus, Isis, Ishtar, Athene, we recognize the attributes and deeds of the comet described in the earlier sections of this book. The sacred cow. The comet Venus, of which it is said that horns grew out of her head, or Astarte of the horns, Venus cornuta, looked like the head of a horned animal. Destroyed. A child was born to a woman from the wind, a dream girl. The girl grew rapidly. A boy child was born to her. He told his people that he would go in the direction of the east, and he was to become the morning star. This tale sounds like an incoherent story, but let us note its various elements. Something in the north that looked like clouds, which made people and animals huddle together in apprehension of an approaching catastrophe, wild beasts emerging from the forests and coming to human abodes, an engulfing tide that destroyed everything, even the monster animals, the determination of the new four quarters of the horizon, a generation later, the birth of the morning star. This combination of elements cannot be accidental. All these events, and in the same sequence, were found to have occurred in the middle of the second millennium before the present era. The Indians of the Chukchi tribe on the Gulf Coast tell, it was too hot. The sun was put a handbreadth higher in the air, but it was still too hot. 7 times the sun was lifted higher and higher under the sky arch until it became cooler. In Eastern Africa, we can trace the same tradition. In very old times, the sky was very close to the earth.
And this was the same when I went out to Schuman in Central Australia, and he was talking about the tribal story of the whale. The whale came down from the sky.
Yeah. You see, when it was flat. That coming from here. Like that. When it impacted, it did smack. With the impact now, it shattered. It shattered in the shape of diamonds.
So that's not Earth, that's this other planet.
Huh?
What's
that's when the dinosaurs.
Okay, that's here, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Now with this here, it come through, hit dead smack center there. To a circle. It punched out 3 circles. With the impact now, it created the sun, earth and the moon.
And so was this, and how does that relate to the whale as well?
The whale?
Yeah. So that was the whale.
That
was the whale.
That's why when the whale sings, he's not singing for what's on the earth.
Yeah.
He's singing through the, what they call it, when it all lines up.
What do you mean?
One of the planets.
The conjunctions?
Yeah, oh, they got that other word.
Whatever.
But anyway, when it lines up, that's why you look and you see that thing when, before they even line up, that's that square there.
That's crazy, isn't it?
And with them things now, right, what created Earth, Sun and the Moon, you see how the splinters came out, they became the sites we talk about now, today. Well, I'm up this region, say like, this is the north, that's south, no, north, south, east and west. My site is here.
So when the impact, so you've ended up with the sun, the moon and the earth, and then the other pieces are the lands, the places.
Yeah, well, when the bang happened, with the shuddering and the splinters before it, that's the splinters of the bang. That's all the sacred sites. When the whale sings, he's singing here. All these 3 all line back up there, and it takes it back to the space, up to the stars.
So these alignments just happened, like not so long ago.
Yeah.
So is this why this is all coming together now today?
Oh.
So it's going back to the original.
Does it explain like the asteroid belt, yeah? All the splintered asteroid belt. So would that be from the whale impact?
When it impacted, you stand over a fire and you got a log on the fire and you hit it.
Yeah.
And all the sparks shoot up.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Wow, that's creation.
That's very.
But you see that mimicked a lot of the 3. Yeah, wow.
And that's why the earth look round, the moon look round, the sun look round, because it comes through that.
It's like punching out the whole of a donut.
Right? Make sense? I just can't tell a story so it don't relate to us. As we tell it, you can feel it. I would in that case really.
So what about the Grandparents region?
It tells the story of, you see, if this is north and south, but east and west is the ones now where they get their marriage. You can't just, if you're from here, you can't just go there to the mob there and marry.
Well, this shape comes into it, this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Coming from different angles, it has to cross over for different colour lines, colour lines, yeah? Yeah.
So what do they call the three kings now in the grandparent? They got English names.
Yeah, the English name.
You said Prince Charles. Charles.
Yeah, no, the father
King
of
Charles.
those twins is King Billy. Then he had them twins, which is King Charles and King George. Well, with them three kings, they become coolers. That's the West mob.
Become what? Coolers?
Yeah.
Coolers.
On this side here, they're known as the Jewers. On the east. East, north and south. They're known as Jewers. J-U-A-A. J-U-A-A.
And the other one, Jewers, and
then there's the Coors.
The K-U.
Yeah, K, same.
So that's East Coast.
Yeah. And that runs from west, south, back up to north.
Sweet. Might stop it there. Thanks, man.
You completely put your brain back together.
And this is what we held this long. Now you walk and search it, and it's called limbo, you know. Known in the white man words. Well,
yeah, that's it.
Even in the delusion.
Limbo. That's I feel that. I feel that now. I'm in limbo.
Well, you feel a lot lighter than limbo now because you know you're connected. But our skin is dark.
Sun, Earth, Moon.
Yep.
Thanks for that, John.
No, you're
Appreciate it,
That's what we're here for.
Venus was birthed out of Jupiter, just like Athena was birthed out of Zeus, which Zeus is Jupiter and Athena is Venus, and then got sent into a 50 and 52 orbit in which there was a cataclysm within the Jubilee year. And then now it goes into its 4 and 8 year cycle of what, I can't remember what they call the Venus cycle, people, astrologers would know. Anyway, that cycle, but it's all, there's why it ties to ancient Greece, because it's tied to the Olympiad, the 4 and the 8 year cycle of Venus. So super, super interesting. And they say that Venus was a comet and then end up getting into the circular orbit. And this is what Schuman described the whale as, the comet. And the comet had an impact and then split to the 4 corners of the earth. And this was the causing of the Great Flood. And anyway, Clint speaks about his people, or the people of the flood. And I can't remember what but anyway, so I'm super interested to talk to Clint about this. There's so many questions, but it goes into like Wallace Thornhill's Thunderbolts of the Gods as well too. And this is like, it's like an ancient story, and this is why I think that the trauma is tied to the skies. And then when they keep saying it's spiritual, and when you listen to people like Tucker Carlson saying, I'm speaking to these insiders, they're talking about UFOs, and he goes, I don't want to know anymore, because I got to a certain point where I don't want to know anymore. I know it's spiritual, whatever these crafts are.
Stop being curious about this, because I don't want to know anymore.
You truly don't want to know anymore about it?
I think I know. I think I know what's up. So I can't prove it, probably not going to articulate it, but I think I know what's up, yeah.
Can you articulate it?
I think it's a really old story.
I do think that there is a link between what we call psychic phenomena, telepathy, or psionics, as is the more neutral term that's used by the military and the defence community. I do believe that there is a connection between human psionic abilities, telepathic, psychic abilities, and consciousness, and that the UAP phenomenon is tied into that.
There were elements, the only way I can describe them as religious fundamentalists.
It's a group that is euphemistically dubbed as the Collins elite, isn't it?
It is.
The Collins elite has long been rumoured to be a cabal of religious fanatics within the Pentagon. Many consider them a myth. Elizondo thinks otherwise.
That group is alive and well. It exists. I encountered elements of that group firsthand.
And they're gatekeepers inside the Pentagon who don't want the UAP story investigated.
That is correct, Ross. There are religious fundamentalists inside the Pentagon and inside the U.S. government, and specifically the intelligence community, that have a very, how shall I say, strict interpretation of their philosophical belief system.
Elizondo recounts one specific encounter with a high-ranking member of this so-called Collins elite.
He stopped me in the halls at the Pentagon. He said, "Have you read your Bible lately?" And I was kind of surprised by the question. Like, I mean, I know what the Bible says. What, may I ask specifically, what do you mean? He says, "And you know what we're dealing with are demons. These are demonic beings, and we shouldn't be looking at them."
Huge increase in UFO sightings, in UFO crashes. And it turns out the federal government has been tracking this for 80 years and lying about it. And in a number of cases, these things have landed on military bases, including famously in Germany, in West Germany in the 70s. And servicemen have approached them. Like, what is this thing? There's this like giant glowing thing on the base. And they approach and they get traumatic brain injury. Whatever is coming off these machines is very bad for the human body. Whether slowly or all at once, you're being acted on by forces outside of you. Spiritual forces, obviously. I'm just trying to apply logic here.
You had mentioned several times that you think that the UFO, UAP type phenomena stuff is all spiritual.
I think so.
So what I'm saying is they're tying, because it's cyclic, something like this is going to happen, whether it's our lifetime or not, but it's going to happen whether you buy into Jason's 138-year cycle of the Phoenix or whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter. The trauma is from the sky. And if you listen to like what Donovan and Nikki were talking about in the last one of the trying to obtain the blood and the DNA of the indigenous and why they're trying to do it, is because we definitely live in a society of amnesia, a world of amnesia, but the memory is still within the people and within the earth, and particularly within the tribal people that have kept these stories that surpass previous cataclysms. So they've literally got the memory of these events, right? So there's a lot's going to play out. And then actually, what was the connection with Venus in the Pleiades? Fuck, man, I need to... Anyway, we're going to do a video with Nikki on this too. But like, oh, that's right. Well, the Pleiades is in the Taurus star system too, and Taurus, the bull, is also Venus. So Taurus is the ruler of Venus, is the ruler of Taurus, and that's why Taurus has a horn too, because Venus is also depicted as a horn. And it goes all the way into like Venus being Lucifer, the morning star and the night star. Anyway, I'll add a little bit of Velikovsky in here too, but once I can compose it all, and especially add to like the stuff that like Nikki's been looking at, which is fucking super interesting, a lot of it's meshing together, and we're just piecing together an old story that we have not, it's not like we've discovered it, it's been around forever. We're just retards trying to catch up. That's all that's happening really. So anyway, I just got on my bike here, give you a bit of a cruise. I don't know what this reservoir or lake, whatever it's called. Fuck yeah. Sweat like a bitch. There's the water. So last time I was over here, I couldn't walk past this bit because they were doing roadworks over there, but they've fixed that bridge now. So I'm staying down this way, just over there, in that little valley. Anyway, that's about it. I'm going to turn back around because I'm going back down that way. Actually, yeah, I'll leave it at that. People aren't really interested in seeing my fucking ride. I'll leave you with some outro music actually for my trip home.
Another sleepless night I can't explain. Somebody said they heard me call your name. The radio won't let you leave my mind. I know it's over, but I don't know why. I should've known better than to fall in love with you. Now love is just a faded memory. Should've known better. Now I'm a prisoner to this pain, and my heart still aches for you. There was no risk that I wouldn't take, not a promise that I didn't make. All I asked was that you just hold on. Now I'm wondering what I did wrong. Should've known better than to fall in love with you. Now love is just a faded memory. Should've known better. Now I'm a prisoner to this pain, and my heart still aches for you. I gave you all of my body and soul. Never believed I'd lose control. I took my hands off the I can't remember if the lies were true. It's been a million years since I touched you. Well, I thought time might help me win this game. Being away from you is slowly driving me insane. Should've known better than to fall in love with you. Now love is just a faded memory. Should've known better. Now I'm a prisoner to this pain, and my heart still aches for you. Should've known better than to fall in love with you. Now love is just a faded memory. Should've known better. Now I'm a prisoner to this
Water molecule is a dipole antenna. It is the intermediary for spirit.
Of the emotional world to come back to myself.
Astrology isn't predicting the future. It's actually showing the merits and demerits of the soul.
A spiritual or occultic phenomenon. It's not demons, it's not angels, it's not ETs. I mean, I've heard all of them over the years. Simply is a natural form of language. Just as body language expresses our feelings and who we really are, well, reverse speech does that too.
You already there see that it was about females' moral superiority and the hatred of men.
Pattern recognitionist, which I consider myself to be pretty good at,
as a musician, patterns are what we do. We repeat patterns in tones and chords and things of that nature. So it's easy to pick patterns out when you get used to noticing patterns both in yourself and otherwise that lead to disintegration.
Like if you're embodied with life and have the experience and you don't try to resist it and mold it or whatever, you're free.
We're forgetting that part of history. And we have the oldest of the Old Testament. Because it's written in Mura Juga, all the laws.
You have the wrong idea about the Matrix. The Matrix is the womb. Oh, artificial womb.
Each week of the conference, respected researchers and thought leaders from around the world share perspectives to challenge, inform, and expand perception, while participants have the opportunity to engage directly, posing questions, testing ideas, and exploring their own inquiries with those who have dedicated years to developing their understanding. In an age engineered to distract, divide, and obfuscate, this space offers a dedicated interval to study, question, and think in good company. Conversing with others on the same path, debriefing ideas together, and cultivating a shared commitment to truth through synthesizing dialogue.